JD Sports. I'm Jared Hood. That's Dwight Garfield. You can find our Twitter @_JD Sports. Everything else is in the YouTube page and the links below. A lot to talk about this week, Dwight. I want to open it up quickly just because it's a personal preference. The Eagles? Big deal?
Is it walk-off deal time for me?
No.
Because it's no deal. It's no deal.
Well, I agree. It's probably not as big as a deal as it seemed on Sunday. The Patriots were injured. I mean, that's probably a really good way to put it. Amendola still came out and had a pretty big game. I felt like up until the middle of the third quarter, the Eagles' defense played really well, and the trend there is that right before half, there was a couple drives where the Eagles went punt or whatever, and then they had the Eagles' defense created the 3 and out, but then the block punt, which was returned for a touchdown. So then they were right back on the field, and then the Eagles actually didn't move the ball too well after the Eagles' defense made another stop. So then they were on the field again for another minute before half, and then they came out, long drive, pick six for 100 yards. I think there was only one drive in between that and the touchdown return. So the defense was on the field a lot, as good as they played until the middle of the third quarter. I feel like that had a lot to do with it, and that was part of them making plays, for our special teams making plays. That wasn't as much offense because the offense actually moved the ball decently well, but, I mean, Brady still made a comeback there at the end. Again, they're injured, and I thought there was many times early in the game, and even when I'm talking about how the Eagles' defense played well and they should feel confident going forward, Gronk probably scores on a couple of those tight end plays. Probably 2 of them at least. There was probably 3 of them where he could have, or where their chancellor, I think, is the tight end now. But where he probably, if it was Gronk, I thought 3 of them he could have scored. 2 of them, I think he would have scored on 2 of them definitely. So
that was more so, to me, it was more so a story about you guys were just a more complete team that day. Yeah. Like you said, you had the block punt. You had you actually had 2 picks in the end zone. One was the actual return back for a touchdown. Yep. So, again,
Brady gets picked off twice is rare.
That's impressive, especially in the end zone. That's
rare. Yep.
It's very rare,
but that's missing Gronk and Edelman. I mean, that's 2 of his best red zone targets.
Right, and you guys were the better team that day, like I said. I mean, but as you said, Brady, they were still hanging in there. They were still trying to bounce back.
Really good comeback.
But
tired defense, so that's what I think happened there.
Absolutely, and I will give no credit to your offense whatsoever. Like I said, I think it was everything.
They played pretty well.
I'll say it was your defense, your special teams is what really made you guys be in that game, which is just a fact. You had the block, you had the 2 picks. The one was a touchdown. So to me, it's more so what everything else happened for y'all, but not your offense.
Bradford's
your offense was a responsibility.
Bradford's numbers don't jump off paper, but I look at individual plays, things like trust. On that 3rd down play where the Eagles needed a first down, he threw that ball to Cooper before Barner fumbled. But I mean that's trust in Sam Bradford to get the 3rd down, to get a first down on 3rd down, keep the clock moving when you need it type situation. So I think things like that. I think it was showing more. And plus, he wasn't on the field as much because of the other things we alluded to. So his numbers aren't going to jump off paper. He didn't turn the ball over. He hasn't turned the ball over a whole lot. I think they're 5-2 in his last 7 starts, and one of those 2 losses was a game that he got hurt in, so who knows what happens in the end of that game. I'm not saying he comes back and wins. I'm just saying they were only down 3 when he got hurt, and the other one was a close game to Carolina, which he played a really good game in, and that's the last time he had a turnover was that Carolina game, and that turnover went off Jordan Matthews' hands.
So are you getting excited now? Because I hear a whole lot of excitement on your end as an Eagles fan, and I think you should.
How consistent?
You should be excited for this game, and I will give you that. And as I said, you were the better team on that day. Good for you guys. But moving forward, do I think you should be excited? Not necessarily.
But how consistent have I been? I'm not somebody who's. After those losses, I wasn't too low on the Eagles. I'm not going to get too high on them and say that they're going to go win the Super Bowl now. But I am saying that the consistency.
That's a surprise because a lot of you Eagles fans do act that way.
But you know me. I'm a little more forward thinking sometimes about these things. But I do sit and look at it, and I do think I see progression in Bradford. As I said before, even after the Carolina loss, I came in and I talked to you about this.
I don't agree or disagree with Bradford, but
I'm not. He's looking better week by week, and that's all you can really ask for a guy who hasn't played a whole lot in his career so far, and he's learning a new system. Now, they looked at something different. How do you feel about the Demarco Murray situation? Because I didn't like at the time. The only thing I was scared of, the 2 things I was scared of when they signed him. One, I was scared that they did it because they just didn't want the Cowboys to have him.
That's exactly what it was.
To me, that's not good. And two, the Cowboys, what I was scared of is because the Cowboys are downhill runners. They're going to hand the ball off and they're going to force him to go straight. He doesn't make the cuts. It's just not his game. He needs to go forward. So you can only run so many draws for him. I mean, you keep running sweeps, he's going to keep running out of bounds. It's just how it runs. He runs straight. You give him the ball, that's the direction he's going to go.
If I'm looking at it from you guys' perspective, I feel like you guys should have just took that money and split it between two solid players. You didn't need to spend that money for him because you already had a decent scheme with your running backs. You didn't need a Demarco Murray who doesn't fit in your scheme.
I think you're stating the obvious because
it is the obvious. But Chip Kelly did think it was obvious.
But I think a lot of people right now would say put that money into wide receivers. But going into the season, the argument wasn't as strong as it is now, and people are a lot louder about it now than they were then. Nobody was sitting here telling me that I was going to be sitting here right now and Demarco Murray was going to be having the terrible season that he had. They were saying that he wasn't going to do what he did when he was in Dallas.
Right.
Not one person was telling me he wasn't going to have 500 yards in the season. No. That
was completely unrealistic.
But that's what I'm saying, but it wasn't as obvious as it looks now. So people need to back off on that whole look how it was before because obviously it wasn't. I mean, and it's not just Chip. There was a billion people out there that thought it was going to work. People were picking the U.S. to win the Super Bowl. Analysts were picking.
Who was that? Who was that? Please place names on them because I would love to have a conversation with them. Please come on our show and talk about it.
I don't have the like.
Anyway, regardless, I still think it's. I still feel that even before the season, granted, a lot of people, including myself, and you already said that DeMarco wasn't going to have this type of season. That wasn't realistic, and I forgot to give you your little squishy bar. But. Getting rid of a wide receiver like Deshaun Jackson, I still don't agree with. And even if, let's say, hypothetically speaking, you take that money, you don't get DeMarco, and you get rid of Deshaun Jackson. Mm-hmm. Fine. That leaves the money available from not getting DeMarco to get two solid pieces. So why would you not get two other pieces? It doesn't have to be wide receiver. Why wouldn't you get maybe one wide receiver and, I don't know, whatever else you're lacking in? Let's say a defensive lineman in theory. Why wouldn't you get those two pieces instead of going for DeMarco, which doesn't fit in your scheme because Chip Kelly's all about the scheme and he's all about the system and he's the savior and he's everything and he's the next Bill Belichick and he's going to win Super Bowls. He's all of this and above. I know you do. So does every Philly fan out there because you all say the same damn thing, but yet other than you, all I've heard is fire Chip Kelly, fire Chip Kelly. Right. Now all of a sudden they beat New England 1 week and it's the Savior's back.
I'm not overreaction, but I'm not overreaction.
Let's hail him.
I'm not going to overreact on these things yet.
I'm tired of him. Can we get you guys some weapons? In my estimation, you didn't need to get DeMarco Murray. It's easy to say that in hindsight.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at it from the perspective as you didn't need to get him and you dropped too many other weapons. You lost all of your receivers outside of Cooper.
Who's not any good.
He's not. He's like a third string at best. So why would you not get?
He got one pass on Sunday. It was a big pass.
I really just want you guys to fail the rest of the season because I think he's going to be fired, and that would make me happy. No, as long as he's out of the league.
They both come out and said that they're committed to each other.
Well, he's stupid for not jumping ship. Honestly, you got the big win, and that's awesome.
Hold on. Pump the brakes on me. Stupid for passing up.
There's so much money in college right now.
How many other people have full control of an NFL roster and franchise?
And how well has he honestly done outside of?
It doesn't matter how big are these guys' egos. You're not just going to step away from that. How many other coaches?
Some people are smart enough to do that.
There's only like 6 coaches in the league that have as much access and power as he does right now. Why would you ever walk away from that?
Sometimes you just need.
I would need to get pushed out of that. I would need to get flipped upside down and thrown out of that situation.
To me, that says a lot about the organization as well. If they're not looking to get rid of him, because I feel like there's no justification for keeping him.
But what if it was a 2-year plan? What if that was only year 1 of his plan? They just gave it to him last year.
The Philly plan, where everything's all 2 to 5 years, 3 to 5 years, 2 years away from being 12 years away. Got it.
But what's Dallas's plan after next year?
Dallas's plan is to stick with Tony Romo. I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but we're going for next year.
I'm just saying, but that
we were going for this year until he got hurt. But Jerry Jones is going next year.
It doesn't matter what their plan was. My point is they have a plan. Just like you're just like banging the Eagles. Everybody has a plan. That's the whole point. Every NFL franchise, except the Browns right now, which we will actually be getting into next.
Let's get into it right now.
Okay. Well, their owner told Johnny Manziel reportedly in the locker room Sunday that because Austin Davis was so bad that he will be the starter next Sunday. Mike Pettin on Monday said he will not be the starter. Maybe he will be the starter. I don't know if he'll be the starter. Anyways, Tuesday, he's the starter for the season going forward. Just at what point, and now here's where I might walk out myself, but at the same time, again, these guys have egos. Mike Pettin might be one guy I'd justify walking out of an NFL locker room. He doesn't have A, as much access as Chip Kelly does, which I was arguing, but B, I mean, what is this? What's going on? You've lost 7 straight, your record's horrible.
They're absolutely horrible. They're trash.
You disagree with your owner, who honestly, and I'm not going to sit here and say, because you know how Johnny Manziel has improved. I'm not saying he's an NFL quarterback. I'm saying he has improved. He's gotten a little better.
Compared to what?
Compared to what he's done compared to what he did last year. I mean, it didn't look good in his one start last year. Well, listen, as I just said, I don't know if he's going to be an NFL quarterback. But the problem might be is that their owner might go out and get a GM who believes in Johnny Manziel and go out and get a coach that believes in Johnny Manziel.
If that's, honestly...
Right, and that's a train that you don't want to get on.
Right, because that's the situation. If you get a new GM, you know what he's going to do. He's going to want to draft another one. He wants to draft his guy. That's what's going to happen.
But
honestly, you know what? Mike Greenberg said it best. He said the Browns are the biggest joke in all of sports as an organization, and I kind of don't disagree with that because they are. Name a team in all of sports that is a bigger joke than the Cleveland Browns. It's very difficult because I really consider it myself. And then, you don't even have to look at the rest of the team. Just look at the quarterback situation this year. You don't even have to look at years past. And we've all seen the pictures of the Browns fans with names of quarterbacks going down to here. You don't even have to look at that. Just look at the situation with Johnny Manziel the past, 2 or 3 weeks with this, I'm going to drink and not drink. I promise you and not promise you. You're benched and not benched. It's been a complete joke. It doesn't make any sense. And if I was a Cleveland Brown fan, I'd be absolutely disgusted because what are you basing
but the consensus
starting him on? Why are you starting Johnny Manziel other than the fact that you invested so much in him? Because right now...
That's why. Because they want to know in the next 4 games if he's going to be their starter next year. Well, I'm not saying that's the answer, and I'm not saying that's what's going to happen.
Realistically,
that's what they say.
Realistically, do you think he's going to be the starter next year? Because I honestly think they're going to bring, whether it's a draft pick or a free agent or whatever it is.
If they fire this coach and they bring in because this is the issue, is the owner believes in Johnny Manziel, so the owner is going to go out and get a guy who thinks the same way, who also believes in Johnny Manziel, then is going, and that is a problem. That's not what you want to do. That's what I'm saying. He might very well be, if he has a decent 4 games, the starter next year with a GM and a coach who supports him, with an owner that supports him, and he might end up being flourishing and great, and they will look like geniuses. Mm-hmm. But right now, he hasn't shown enough that I would go out and base my GM and coach around him, like a lot of people assume this guy is going to do, the owner of the Browns. I agree with you.
My rebuttal to that would be Dan Snyder and how he was all in on RG3,
right,
and he got a coach that said no.
And and it worked out very well, but that's what Mike Pettin's trying to do. He's trying to put his foot down, and that's not working, and that's what the issue is. But because the people that he's trying to put his foot down for aren't winning the way that Kirk Cousins is winning.
So honestly, at the end of the day, I think it's a complete joke and a disgrace, the fact that they've been flipping back and forth with this Johnny Manziel thing. Mm-hmm. I'm not even talking about football because I don't think it doesn't matter what I think about him as a football player. As far as this conduct that's been going on the past couple weeks, I think it's absolutely a joke that the organization can then say, okay, well, now you're not the starter. Okay, well, no, this quarterback sucks a little more than you do, so you know what? Yeah, we're mad at you, but you're the starter now. That's a joke. That's disgusting.
But it's because their owner stepped over Pettin and did it. No, I agree.
Whatever the reason is, it's a disgrace to the league, and honestly, they should be embarrassed as an organization, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, I'm sure they're not, because they should have been embarrassed about that being what they've been doing over the last how long.
I tell you what, I'm not embarrassed about. I'm not embarrassed that Jerry Jones didn't pick him like everybody and their mom said that they should have done. I'm happy. He's not a Cowboy.
Well,
it's beautiful.
You're going to need a good backup next year because...
And Johnny Manziel is not that.
No, I'm not talking about him, but somebody who is going to be looking for a starting job, but at the same time might be suited as a pretty good backup. Talking about Peyton Manning.
Oh.
He would never be your backup, but he said he wants to play next year.
Yeah,
he just got sat for Brock
things.
Osweiler, which we talked about, and I said I would do that if I felt like the Brock Osweiler would get it done in the cold and be better. They did that. You disagreed, and I said, you're not necessarily wrong in disagreeing.
Right.
I like what they did because I think it takes guts. It needs to pay off. You need to at least get to the AFC Championship. If you don't get to the AFC Championship, the backlash is going to be worse with this decision than it would have been if you took Peyton.
Right.
Because how can you argue taking Peyton even if you lose in the first round, second round, it doesn't matter. If you get to the AFC Championship game, I think it's going to be really hard, especially against if it's against a healthy New England. It's going to be really hard to sit here and bash them for bringing Osweiler in instead of Peyton. But
I mean, like I said, it's a no-win situation for them, honestly.
I agree.
It doesn't matter what they do. Either way, they're going to be screwed.
Okay, so
unless they win it doesn't matter.
Quickly before we jump into them, because we talked about this and it's getting closer and closer now. There's only 4 weeks left and teams are starting to look worse and worse and better and better. Peyton said he wants to play next year. A, do you think he does? And B, if he does, what's like a potential place that he could go? It's impossible, right? It's impossible. I thought Houston.
I think
Houston's the only place, but that was what everybody's been saying Houston since he was a free agent with Indianapolis.
If Mark Sanchez could be a backup in the NFL, I think Peyton Manning could be a backup in the NFL. Do I think Peyton Manning's ego will allow him to be a backup in the NFL? No. Do I think that Peyton Manning could be a starter in the NFL after this season? I can't. I mean, if I look at it, he won't go to a shitty team like Cleveland, but if I look at a crappy organization that can't maintain a decent quarterback, I would think that he could be the starting quarterback of the Cleveland Browns. So, I mean, a team like that, I could see it happening. Would he want to play for a team like that? No, because he wants to compete for a Super Bowl. Do I think that he could join a team that has Super Bowl aspirations? No. As a starter, no. Could he be a backup to a team with Super Bowl aspirations? Yes. Do I think his ego will allow him? No, not at all. So, bottom line, do I think he will play next year? If he's not starting for the Broncos, I'm going to say no.
You said about him and Mark Sanchez in the same sentence, and that's really funny to me.
If Mark Sanchez could be a backup, Tim Tebow could be a backup, so
it doesn't
for the Eagles, but Mark Sanchez could, so who knows in this league.
Peyton isn't gonna act any kind of way. He's gonna be the best backup he can be for the next 4 weeks. I truly believe that.
Right. In this situation, he will be.
Or they're just gonna put him on IR, and they're gonna kind of tell him to fade to black until the offseason, until they can find a suitable place for him.
That's probably the better. I think I agree with you. I think he will definitely be a professional moving forward. If they say Peyton's sit, he will definitely do that. After this year, though, when it's fair game, no, he will go elsewhere, whether it be retirement or a backup somewhere. Or
listen, Buffalo, San Francisco.
Oh, maybe San Francisco.
Houston.
No, because
Kansas City.
No.
The Jets.
No. Alex Smith is rolling right now.
The Jets.
No, Ryan Fitzpatrick is doing good right now.
But
Peyton would want to go to a Super Bowl contender, and you have not named. You've named the Jets and the Bills.
I got one.
They're all teams that have a solid quarterback.
I have one.
Who? Minnesota?
No, a team with a good defense. Who's just riddle me this? Who's a team with a good defense and actually pretty decent role players? But the only thing that we talk about week in and week out is their horrible quarterback play.
St. Louis.
They're moving to LA, probably. That's why they brought Jeff Fisher in. He moved from Houston. Remember the Oilers? He moved from Houston to Tennessee. I'm pretty sure that's why St. Louis brought Jeff Fisher in, so he can go from St. Louis to out over to LA. It will be warm. Tell me, with that defense, with Tavon Austin, Gurley,
It's interesting.
I'm just saying.
On paper, if we're playing Madden, it's interesting. In reality, I don't think no.
But if you're St. Louis, why not take the flyer on him? Because right now,
if you're St. Louis,
for you.
Right. If you're St. Louis, then you absolutely go for it. But I'm trying to think. St. Louis might be the strongest argument, but I still can't.
St. Louis and Houston are both, I think, the two strongest arguments, and I don't think Houston's really on the equation because I don't think he'll go to the Super Bowl with them. But
it'll more so be St. Louis.
But Bill O'Brien's there, and I think that him and Bill O'Brien would have a really good connection. And they have decent weapons, not great, decent weapons. If Arian Foster's healthy, there's something to it. Anyway, moving on.
That's interesting.
MVP race, just because I think it needs to get put to rest, at least for the moment. There's a month left, so anything can happen. And here's how I look at it. There's no concrete in anything until the season's over, okay?
Right.
So, but Cam Newton, as of right now, is number one.
I only laugh because I every time we talk about Cam Newton, North Carolina, I always think about all the flack that I've
all
gotten.
the time. Yeah, okay.
Well, we've gotten.
Yeah, absolutely.
But,
so I don't know how I've ever gotten it, but it
I
makes zero sense.
I agree. It was all on me.
It's okay. It's okay. But they still gave it to me. They still gave it to me, though. They still gave it to me. I don't know.
Shout out all Carolina fans. We got a lot of them.
Yeah.
We actually shout out to all Carolina Panther fans out there that watch us. We got a lot of y'all. That's probably our biggest viewership.
Yeah.
Shout out to y'all.
Yeah.
I'm the hater, though. Remember that.
But I have Cam as number one in the MVP race, and I wanted to bring it up only because I don't get to say that. I haven't ever really been able to say that he is legitimately the number one player in the league right now, MVP.
Ever. You've never had that opportunity.
So that's why I wanted to bring it up, because it feels really good.
Because that's your boy, and you slurp him up.
But right behind him is still Tom Brady and Carson Palmer. And here's my thing. Tom Brady, there's a month left. If he can regain that one seed, that would mean Brock Osweiler in Denver would have to lose a game, and they would have to win, and then the New England would have to win out. But if Tom Brady can get that one seed back and get a couple people healthy and insert their dominance again, I think
you need to take standings out of the equation at this point in the game.
No. I'm not saying it's just because it's going to be because of standings, but look at what he's doing with what he's got. It's not a whole lot. He's lost his starting running back. His team wasn't that much more talented than Cam's in the first place. He's working with a player that Cam's team got rid of, actually. LaFell is like, so I'm just saying, and Tom Brady makes these guys look good, but they lost Deion Lewis, who's turning into their best running back. Gronk's out for the time being. Edelman might be out at least until the playoffs, maybe even longer. So what I'm saying is Cam has Olsen. Cam, I know he lost Benjamin, which is a big deal, but he has Funches, and he's able to grow these reports. He's not losing people throughout the season. It's not any better. Cam's undefeated. That's why I'm giving Cam the number one team. If you take Brady off his team, I expect them to still be kind of winning, but I don't expect them to be having the season they're having right now if Garoppolo's their quarterback. Derek Anderson's the backup out in Carolina. If Derek Anderson's the starting quarterback in Carolina, they're not undefeated. I know that for a fact.
Agree with that. Absolutely.
That's why I give Cam Newton the difference. But Carson Palmer is not talked about enough in this MVP race, because you've been pointing out for a long time. But he is right on the heels of both of them, if not tied for Brady for second, and there with Cam, because look at what he can do in the NFC. And I was just talking about Brady taking. Look at. There's 4 games left. Carolina could lose 2. Arizona could win 2. Who knows? Things could really get shaping up here in the next couple weeks. But that's still time to come. And look at I know he's got Fitzgerald and a couple other players, but he's finding people. It seemed like every week there for a little bit. A new person every week.
I definitely think Carson's in that number 2 spot, and I think he will be tied with
Tom.
No.
You think he'll be tied at 1 with Cam?
I think he'll be tied at 2 with Cam.
They both have really.
I think Brady would be number 1.
Really? Oh, that's okay.
Because of everything you just said. Because of I don't care about the record.
The one thing I
take
gotta
record out the equation.
The one thing I gotta point out about those two, about Cam and Carson, they have better defenses than Tom, probably talent wise. Maybe not scheme wise.
That's what I was going with. And Tom doesn't have one. Well, especially at this stage in the game, he doesn't have. Well, Cam doesn't really have offensive weapons.
Right.
At this stage, he has a little more than Tom, which says a lot.
Yeah. He's got Olsen.
By the yeah, right. Ted Ginn that drops passes,
Stewart.
whatever.
Stewart.
Yeah. But right now, I would say Tom Brady has a slight edge, but it will be more so 1 Brady, 1A Cam. Carson. I don't know which one I will go with. I think the defense does wonders for him, but I can't deny the fact that he has played spectacularly, and so has Carson Palmer. A lot of people have been jumping on the past couple of weeks. A lot of people, I mean, you've been on Cam this whole season, but a lot of other sports
now
shows are now jumping on. Oh, Cam's MVP. He's number one. He has to be. And I'm just like, he's in the race. But I mean, let's not ignore Carson Palmer and what he's been able to do either. And he has a solid team as well. That's why I would give the edge to Tom, because he doesn't necessarily have that he doesn't have the defenses of the two, and he doesn't have the weapons of Arizona, let alone Carolina.
But he did have Gronk and Edelman when he was playing his best football. So
right, definitely, absolutely, and they've been on a mission all year.
The one quarterback that we're not talking about that I do want to throw a little love to, who has all of his weapons and a good defense, is Andy Dalton.
I figured.
I mean, that was, and I know it was against the Browns, but he put another really impressive performance together last week.
It's all quarterbacks right now.
There's no question. The numbers are off.
Honestly, I don't think right now today. I don't think there's a wrong answer. I honestly think that there is.
But
it's going to be a heck of a running.
We're talking about 4 of the top 5 quarterbacks that have the best records in the league right now. Mm-hmm. Quickly, can we talk about the AFC Wildcard Race? Because we were having a good debate earlier about this. I said to you a couple weeks ago, the Chiefs, now I didn't think they were going to go on this run, A, because I didn't think they could beat Denver, but B, because I didn't think that, I thought they would stumble somewhere else along the way. I've actually picked against them a couple times, but I did say they had the easiest schedule, and I predicted that they would probably get into the wild card. I have them sneaking in as the last spot right now. And I think there's a good shot. I don't know if they do win out, but I think they have a shot to, because their schedule isn't too hard.
You're saying the Chiefs.
I say the Chiefs are the second to last wild card spot, and the Steelers. I think the Steelers are going to be the first wild card spot.
Steelers are rolling.
I think everybody
agrees with that.
Speaking of quickly, Vegas has the Steelers on a neutral site. They think that right now they would beat New England. I'm assuming that's because of the injuries. Do you agree on a neutral site? In New England, I think they still would have New England favored.
Yes, I agree with that.
Because of the injuries. Yeah. I think I would agree with that too.
Absolutely.
But it'd be fun to watch. With
just because of what Ben's been doing with
Edelman and Gronk back, though, I think that New England.
Yeah, definitely. I think they would have the edge. But right now, today, I would go with Pittsburgh. Ben's putting up 300+ yards a game, 30 points a game.
I thought it was interesting when I heard that. I thought it was interesting when I heard that today, but I agree. I don't disagree with it. So,
I mean, right now, I'm looking. I have the AFC standings up here right now, and as far as wild cards are concerned, we're looking at Jets, Steelers, Chiefs. We already talked about it earlier. We already disqualified the Colts and the Texans.
Yeah.
So
the winner of that division is
right now
going to get in, the other one won't.
Right, we're talking about the 7-5 teams right now. We're looking at Jets, Steelers, Chiefs. I think Steelers for me will be number 1 out of that bunch, and I'm sorry, I don't believe in Kansas City. Grant, they've won like 5 or 6 in a row, whatever it was, which is very impressive. Nobody saw that coming, especially the way they started the season. But I'm looking at a Jets team with their dominant defense and Ryan Fitzpatrick and their great running game that they have had. I can't go against that. And Big Ben, even though he lost his running back, he still has D'Angelo Williams. He still has Antonio Brown. They still put up lights-out numbers. So I will go with Steelers, then Jets. Chiefs would be number 3 for me.
See, the Bills aren't too far out of it, and I know that's going to be...
You're right. They're
sure
6-6.
They play each other, and then New England is going to take both of them on at 1.2. So I think that...
It's going to get real tight, man.
Yeah, I think that the AFC East will work itself out, and New England will just... obviously New England's going to win the division,
right.
But I think that the other two are going to fall off, and that's why I think the Chiefs with the easier schedule, and then obviously we talked about the Steelers. That's why I'm going with it. But it's very interesting. It's wide open right now. I think a lot of things can happen. There's 4 weeks left. There's teams that are only a game or 2 out of it that could still get in there. I mean...
It's real tight. So you're saying... So, for the record, you're saying Chiefs... Mm-hmm. And what was the other one?
I'm saying the Steelers would be
the Steelers.
The Steelers would be the 5 seed. The Chiefs would be the 6 seed. That's what I'm going with.
Okay, I'll go Steelers and then Jets.
Okay.
I understand where you're coming from. It's I don't think it's a right or wrong answer. It's gonna be really
tight. Fun to watch.
It's gonna be really fun to watch. We both in our.
I like the way Fitzpatrick's playing. I'm not,
absolutely.
It's been well, but
I'm in agreement. We're in agreement with the Steelers though. So
yeah. 3 games quickly that we want to break down, and then we'll get into our overalls and all that. Minnesota taking on Arizona in the Thursday night game. Big matchup. I believed in Minnesota, and now they're going up against Arizona, and I wouldn't have believed in Minnesota anyways, but now I don't think I believe in Minnesota at all in these big matchups. They are that team that...
They got that defense, though.
I know, and I like their defense, but they are that team that, as good as their defense is, and this isn't anything against them, they're quarterback play has something to do, especially against the better teams, especially this time of year. I mean, look at what Russell Wilson did to their defense last week. And their quarterback, nothing against him.
Oh, by the way, I had that, so can I get a check from it? Can I get one?
Because I picked it, and I said I believe in it, and I didn't think Seattle's defense would travel. But what was I saying all year? And I said it about if the writing might be on the wall about Seattle, but at the same time, they are after Thanksgiving team, and so if they can do it after Thanksgiving, maybe you know what I mean.
I said don't let them sneak in, but anyway. So getting back to this game.
So, but I'm saying, I look at it and it's just Carson Palmer and that defense, and
absolutely.
I just it's a short week. Minnesota's going on the road.
Yeah,
it's gonna be really
traveling
hard.
to that West Coast.
Yeah, and then
and hate it. I know you hate it.
Yeah, but it's going to be a short week. It's just going to suck in general. I mean, that's not good at all. So,
right.
But you're right. It's not going to help having to go down to the desert. But Minnesota, they're that team that they're a year or two away. They have the quarterback. They have everything. But you don't want to miss Adrian Peterson's prime. No, and that's scary. But you don't want to miss.
I'm just laughing because that's what you always say about Philly. But go ahead, carry on.
Well, because your quarterback needs to develop. He needs to develop. He needs to develop into the right.
He's done well in the situation he's in. But
you don't want to miss. You don't want to miss Adrian Peterson's prime, and you can use Diggs over the next 2 or 3 years. Right. So that's really scary to think about because your defense eventually is going to need to start getting paid as well, as good as they're playing. Things start really shuffling up here soon.
Jarrett Allen already left, so I mean, you have a real short window.
Things start shuffling up for Minnesota here quickly. Exactly, they got to figure it out. They're building that new stadium now. I'm not saying they can't keep building because look at what they're doing. I just think that right now Arizona was them a year or two ago, maybe even a year before that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I think Arizona on a short week at home will take care of business against them. Who you got?
I'm going with Arizona as well. I've been singing their praises all year.
Do you think Arizona is the second best team in the NFC behind Carolina?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That goes without question.
Okay.
I mean, I can go maybe make an argument. I won't, but I could possibly make an argument that they're even better than Carolina on paper as a complete whole team.
Right.
If you take their record out the equation, I understand Carolina has an even better defense, but I've been singing Arizona's praises all year, and I won't get away from that. Even when they've lost, Even when they've lost, I said no. Carolina, they have a solid team, and I wouldn't want to face them in the playoffs. Okay. And against Minnesota, like you said, the quarterback situation, it's a short week. Like you said, Adrian Peterson, he only has maybe, I won't say 2 years tops, and then he's done as far as I'm concerned. And then, like you said, the defense. I mean, You want to keep giving Bridgewater the experience, but unfortunately, time is on their side, honestly. And right now, today, Arizona's a more complete team. If you're asking me, we were just talking about Carson Palmer's in that MVP race. So, who's the MVP of this game? I'm saying Carson Palmer.
I agree. And their defense is better.
Yeah, it's debatable, but I won't.
They haven't gotten beat up by 30
Right. And he has more to work with. He has more to work with.
At home. In a 1 o'clock time slot against the West Coast team.
Absolutely. Arizona.
A big game for these two teams. Pittsburgh and Cincinnati.
Woo!
Pittsburgh wants to kind of prove that they're still the best team in the division, even if they're not going to win it this season. They still want to, throw a haymaker towards Cincinnati and try to show them who's boss. Cincinnati wants to prove to Pittsburgh by beating them twice in a season that this is their division now, blah, 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 blah. Earlier in the year, I actually picked Cincinnati, and I know Cincinnati doesn't score a lot against Pittsburgh. I thought earlier in the year that Cincinnati would win both games. But right now, the way Pittsburgh is playing, I mean, I know it's not against a great Colts team, but that was really impressive what they did. And Big Ben's playing as well as he has in a while.
A team
with Antonio Brown.
A team finally brought Indianapolis back to reality, and I'm happy for it.
Antonio Brown and Ben Roethlisberger together this season have been lights out.
Oh, yeah.
As good as Cincinnati is, as well as they've been playing, I would love to see this be like a 38-31 matchup. I'm going to go with Pittsburgh. I just have a feeling... I don't want to go against Cincinnati. This could be one of those other solidified, we're not the same old Cincinnati Bengals team kind of games. And I'm going to be tuned into this, but I just have that, the way Pittsburgh's playing right now, they have that look, they have that feel, they have that late season. We're on that run. We've been here. And this is going to be a clash of two Titans. It's going to be fun to watch.
Absolutely.
Like I said, I'm picking Pittsburgh. Who you got?
I mean, the one thing in Cincinnati's favor is that this isn't a primetime game, so maybe they actually have an opportunity to win. Oh, shots fired. But, anyway, that's beside the point. The last matchup, Cincinnati won 16-10, so it wasn't a shootout.
Right.
But what's interesting is that, the last 4 games, Pittsburgh has averaged 33 points a game. The last 3 games, or last 3 or 4 games, I should say, Cincinnati has averaged 33. So they both have averaged 30 points a game at least or above. It's unbelievable. But right now, today, I'm going with Pittsburgh. I think they're getting that revenge. I agree with you. I don't think either team's gonna put up those 30 points, but I think that it'll be a little higher scoring than 16-10. It could be 21-17 maybe, or 24-17, something like that, but I think Pittsburgh gets the edge on this one.
This has the feel to me to be setting up for a 3rd game tiebreaker in the playoffs, and that's I would love to see it. I would love to see this be a good game, just like the first one was, as good hopefully as the first one, and then see them have a fun game there in the playoffs. But we'll see what happens. The last game that we're going to break down, only because it was a topic of debate earlier in the season, I think you've admitted defeat to this by now.
As far as the division goes, absolutely.
Oh. Wow.
What did I say last week? Take that, rewind it back. Oh, what did I say
last
last
week? One of those two teams.
I did say that.
He said.
What happened with New Orleans last week?
For people who aren't, caught up to speed, we're talking about.
You should be paying attention because you should be subscribed and watching every week. But go ahead, say it for the people.
We're talking about Atlanta going to Carolina this week. All year, we've gone back. Not all year. Early in the season, we went back and forth about who was the better team when they were competing back and forth.
Right.
Obviously, Carolina has kind of stepped a foot out. Mm-hmm. But what you're implying is...
What did I imply last week?
They would have to lose to either New Orleans or Atlanta, and you said they would beat New Orleans, and they almost lost.
That was actually a lot closer than I thought it was going to be.
A shootout against Drew Brees?
Hey, you said it. You won't be surprised if that's what would happen, because you can't go against Drew Brees in that situation. Against a division rival, and what happened to that Carolina defense?
And that is one
which
of the
has been dominant. It's been great.
That's another thing that goes in Cam's favor in the MVP race is that he can literally say he beat Drew Brees in a shootout at home.
Yeah,
Eli could do that this year.
What was it? 5 touchdowns here?
Yeah, and I mean that, it was a big deal. That's a big game.
It's awesome.
And I think that's why he's got number 1 right now today, because it's on what he has previously done. We'll see what happens going forward. But anyways, this game in particular. So you actually are going to go with Atlanta? Struggling quarterback play. Their running game's not going as well as it has been. Still getting it done a little bit though.
No, not going Atlanta.
Yeah,
not this week. Not this week. I'm specifying not this week. If anything, I think they could get it at home, get that revenge back. But we'll talk about that at a later date. Right now, today, I'm going with Carolina. There's no reason for me to go with Atlanta. Atlanta's lost like the last 5 or 6 games. It's been an absolute disgrace compared to what I thought they were going to be. Honestly, before the season started, I had them win the division, as I said countless times. I had Carolina in last place in the division, which obviously those roles have flipped. So, I mean, it is what it is. But right now, today, with this matchup in Carolina, I'm going with Carolina. There's no sense in me taking Atlanta. Maybe they'll get the revenge game. I do think, like I said, that Carolina will lose to either St. Louis. Carolina will either lose to New Orleans or Atlanta, but this will not be that day. I'm going with Carolina.
Carolina is entering territory. They're creeping, not entering. They're creeping into territory that gets really scary for teams that are young and haven't really even been in high pressure playoff games yet, past the divisional round.
Right.
They're going into undefeated territory. They're going to have to lose at some point, so this bubble pops. They get the slap in the face that they're going to need as a team, because they're going to need that. Because you can't. It's kind of hard to be going to the playoffs playing Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson and whoever else you're going to have to go to, even if you go further. It's going to be hard. I mean, it's just going to be, the pressure's going to mount too high that at some point, with that great talent, with that kind of great talent on the other side, you're going to lose. But
they need to face that adversity. They need to
get that loss on them. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
I don't like seeing undefeated.
I really don't. Is it. No, I like seeing it. I like seeing it when it was Tom Brady and them, because I think that they had the morale. They're a rare case. They are a rare case that I thought had a leader and had the things set in place around them to be able to do it and handle it. I don't think Carolina can. Nothing against Cam Newton and Luke Kuechly.
Mm-hmm.
But I can name other people on that team. But honestly, who's another leader on that team? Most people can't name
another leader. I don't have any.
And I don't think they have the heck. Their head coach has proved me wrong.
I can name like 3 players on that team. Honestly.
And I can name enough that I think, but they're not leaders. I think in the sense that New England have.
Right.
I get on Rivera a lot, and I used to always say he was not that good of a coach. Oh, he's obviously proved me well wrong.
Even before that, I liked him as a coach.
I didn't like him as in the Eagles system. I held it against him way too long. But he has proved he is a fantastic coach. But I don't think that he is the leader to get you to an undefeated season the whole way to the Super Bowl undefeated. You just don't want that pressure, especially with all of them who haven't been in that situation.
Right, exactly. You're a young team. You need to get that loss under your belt, and you need to be able to have that comeback, that bounce back. And unfortunately, I mean, they're getting closer and closer. They got it close last week.
You just said how it got close last week. I'm not going to say... I'm picking Carolina because I can't go against Cam. I can't go against what they've been doing.
Hey, look, I've been going with Atlanta all year, but I mean, I'm in agreement with you.
But for the first time, I think ever, I wouldn't mind seeing them lose a game here at some point.
It's necessary.
Because it's going to need to happen.
Yeah, we agree with that.
Yeah. But, so we both pick Carolina. Dwight, we're getting into our picks this week. I went 7-9 last week. It was pretty bad. What'd you do?
You're slipping. I got 12-4 last week.
Oh no! So you're really close to me because I am 112-79. Please tell me you're not close.
Oh really? You're talking one game, man. I'm 111-80.
So it was a big week, is what you're telling me.
Came back. Oh, absolutely.
Well, it starts off with a really big game on Thursday. Minnesota, who hasn't looked well overall against the better teams lately, traveling on a short week with a young quarterback to Arizona with a veteran quarterback on a short week at home. I'm taking Arizona.
I'm taking Arizona as well.
Yeah, it just feels like it's something you have to do. Shady coming to Philly, first time. He says it's no issue with with Chip. Yeah, I'm with you. I think obviously he feels some kind of way, just like all the players who have. Look at what Deshaun Jackson did last year in Philadelphia against the Eagles. He wanted to prove that point. I don't...
this tears you up, don't it?
It does, because I think that Buffalo is talented enough.
Definitely.
But the way the Eagles are playing, they have to have some kind of confidence. And honestly, Sammy Watkins, he's had the best and biggest games for them. If you can somehow get him a little out of the equation, and then it's obviously you have to focus on Shady because I think he's going to intentionally try to have the biggest game of the year. I do think the Eagles are going to win. Obviously, it's just because I have faith. I mean, the Bills are talented enough and good enough and hungry enough because they need it as bad as the Eagles. I'm picking Philly.
Remember a couple weeks ago when Detroit beat Green Bay and you said they were going to be on that false high?
Yeah.
And that's about where I'm going with Philadelphia. I'm going with Buffalo in this situation. I think they have far more talent on both sides of the ball. I'm going with Buffalo.
Well, moving on, New Orleans traveling to Tampa Bay. Their offense hasn't traveled as well, and their defense hasn't played well at home or away. I'm picking Jameis, man. He's played.
Of course you are.
Played well.
You just can't go against them, can you?
I can because it's Drew Brees, is a future Hall of Famer, but everything's speaking for itself right now. One's trending up and one's trending down. Right. I'm gonna jump on the train.
I don't agree with that whatsoever compared to last week where Drew Brees almost beat Carolina, which unless James is playing Philadelphia again, I'm going with...
It's been a different team at home than it is on the road with the offense.
You ignored that shot then.
I heard it.
I bet you did. I'm going Drew Brees, which put up phenomenal numbers against Carolina.
He did. We'll see. Tampa Bay's defense isn't all that good, so I'm not saying it can't happen, but New Orleans' defense isn't any good in Tampa, and he beat them in New Orleans.
Absolutely. But
Seattle for the second week in a row going across country, playing a 1 o'clock time slot against Baltimore. Backup defense or being backup quarterback, you got the defense playing really well. I know it was against a young team and all that, but Minnesota was playing well, so they're on. Or listen, we talked about it. They need to turn into the after Thanksgiving Seahawks that we always talk about. I'm picking the Seahawks.
As you should. I'm going Seahawks as well. But Baltimore just can't seem to close the deal no matter who the quarterback is.
They've been fighting hard.
That's cute. We've been talking about that.
It's been good for them. It's
we've
good
been
for
talking
them to
about that.
It's good for them to lose games because they need a higher draft pick anyways.
we've been talking about how cute it is that they hang in there, and I'm tired of talking about it because it's been the entire season that you lose by like 3 to 5 points.
Yeah, but look,
if you can't close the deal, I get it, I understand it, no, and I agree, and that was even before Joe Flacco. But I mean, you can't close the deal. You can't close the deal. You're not going to against Seattle.
A really big game for the AFC North. Pittsburgh going to Cincinnati. Cincinnati got them in a low-scoring game.
Got 'em.
Both teams, as you pointed out to me earlier, are averaging over 30 points a game in their last, 4 or 5 games. So
something like that, yeah.
I'm going to take Pittsburgh because they're rolling a little more, but this is Cincinnati's. If we beat them twice, and this time if we can beat them in a shootout, and then we beat them in a low-scoring game, we kind of cover all the bases. But I said to you, I'm picking Pittsburgh because A, I think Pittsburgh's riding higher, and B, I would love to see a third game tiebreaker in the playoffs between these two. If it, I'd love for it to come to that. That'd be fun. Obviously, probably it'd be in Cincinnati, but who are you taking?
I'm going Pittsburgh as well. Pittsburgh, they've just been rolling. Big Ben is putting over 300 yards a game, 30 points a game. Cincinnati, I just don't trust them in big games. And until I'm proven otherwise, I'm not going with them in this situation. In this big divisional game, I'm going with
Quick side note, it's not just about
Pittsburgh.
It's not just about this game, but if the rest of the season trends where Cincinnati, say, loses 2 of their games and Pittsburgh, wins 3 of their games, I said Andy Dalton maybe in the MVP race. Could you flip Ben into there instead?
Possibly, yes.
Even with the injuries,
yes.
you look at what they could have. You look at what they could have done without his injuries.
Right,
he'd be right there behind them.
Right, Ben would be in that other category.
I think he has the best. I think he has the best wide receivers out of all the other guys we're talking about, though.
Right.
Because of Antonio Brown, it's just not fair. Another big game in a different division, but between the 2 division teams. We went back and forth about this most of the year. You conceded to me before, but you still say week to week Atlanta might be able to beat Carolina. Who you taking?
I'm going Carolina. It won't be this week,
yeah,
they will be losing in the very near future, but it won't be this week.
We covered this a little bit. We both said Carolina needs to lose at some point before the playoffs so they get that smack in the face, they get that Band-Aid rip-off, whatever.
Definitely.
I'm picking Carolina, but I wouldn't mind seeing them lose here in the next week or 2 because it needs to happen.
Definitely.
San Francisco taking on Cleveland, very dysfunctional Cleveland, but Manziel getting a start. Does Blaine Gabbert have it in the 1 o'clock time slot again? Does he have the magic to beat Cleveland?
Absolutely. I'm going with Blaine Gabbert and 49ers. Please don't tell me you're doing it.
I wanted to.
You're such a tool if you do that.
I wanted to, but I'm going to actually take Blaine Gabbert. He's playing better. A lot better over the last couple of weeks. And he had a big play to win the game. He's got better weapons. Anquan Bolden and Torrey Smith have actually played really well over the last couple of weeks. So I'm taking San Francisco. That might be saving jobs, what he's been doing out there.
Absolutely.
We'll see what happens. Moving on. Detroit going to St. Louis. I don't really like the situation that either of these teams are in. Detroit doesn't travel well, yet Nick Foles hasn't thrown over 150 yards since I think he was wearing the same colors that I like. I'm going to go with Detroit, but you could flip a coin 10 times, and if it landed on, heads and tails 5 times each, I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm going Detroit as well. St. Louis has lost 6 straight games. There's no reason to believe in them now.
I think at this point they're just... I said it earlier, tanking to go to LA. I think they're just ready to go to LA. They're ready to get out of that. I'd be ready to get out of St. Louis right now. The way that stadium's built, the way no one's going to these games, it's time. They gotta go. They gotta go.
Going back to Cali.
Yes, you're absolutely right about that.
I gotta keep that.
That's fantastic. Washington playing Chicago. Washington has been a different team at home than they have been on the road, and at home they just lost to Matt Castle on Monday Night Football, almost in the same way that McCoy beat Dallas last year on Monday Night Football. It was really weird how that worked out.
You, of course, have to get that shot in, don't you?
No, because you guys got him back this year. You should feel awesome about that.
I do. I feel fantastic. Why do you think I'm wearing the shirt today?
Because Chicago has played a little better, and I think San Francisco isn't a better team than them, and I'm shouldn't want to pick Chicago. I'm picking Chicago because Washington just hasn't played well at all on the road.
Absolutely.
And their defense is suspect at times.
You already know how I feel about Chicago and Jay Cutler. I can't stand Jay Cutler, but I also understand that Washington is suspect, especially when you lose to a deflated Dallas offense like you did on Monday night. The way that you did, I'm going with Chicago.
I don't know if I said it in the early shows that we never really got out, but I'm really scared of Jay Gruden. As a fan of a team in the NFC East, I said it before the season.
Why?
Because he's a really good coach, and it's gonna be. Look at what he's doing with. Look at that team, and look. I mean, I'm not. Should they even be anywhere near 500? With the way Dan Snyder puts that team together.
No.
And that's my point.
No.
So, and I think he's not going to be there long enough to turn around and make them Super Bowl contenders. But what I'm saying is, I'm afraid that he's going to put them in the right direction. And that scares the heck out of me.
I mean, look at that trash division. He could very well win a division
Dan Snyder's,
by default, which doesn't mean anything to me.
I agree, but Dan Snyder's the X factor, so in 2 or 3 years it'll get blown up and be in the wrong direction anyways.
Heard that?
Probably. Tennessee going to the Jets, who are riding high, just beat the Giants in overtime. It was odd, but it was without Revis. Fitzpatrick's played a lot better over time. Tennessee's defense isn't any good anyways. No. I'm going with the Jets.
I'm going the Jets as well. I had Tennessee beating Jacksonville last week in that revenge game, but going against a Jets defense in New York, I don't see that happening. I don't see the same story happening. I'm going with the Jets.
Your favorite person to defend, Phillip Rivers, taking on probably the hottest team in the NFL right now, Kansas City. Do you go with them?
You know, I told you before, a couple weeks ago when they beat Jacksonville, I said I regretted not going with them. And I'm not going to make that same mistake. I'm going with San Diego.
Really?
Yes, because I understand Kansas City has won, the last 6 games, and that's fantastic. That's very impressive. Good for them. But I still don't believe in the fact, like we talked about earlier with the playoff picture, I don't necessarily believe in them per se to say that they are legitimate. So I'm going with San Diego, and I could completely be wrong about that. And it won't surprise me at this point the way that they play from week to week.
Alex Smith is playing a little better than Phillip Rivers, but Phillip Rivers is probably better talent than him.
Absolutely.
I'm going with Kansas City because of the overall team play right now.
Like I've said for weeks, it's not about San Diego's quarterback situation at all. It's all about their defense. Their defense allows 30 points a game.
And they lost Keenan Allen a couple weeks ago.
But the Chargers have allowed 22 or more points the past 4 or 5 weeks. But they also have put up those same type of numbers on the offensive side. It's more so a story of their defense, like I've been saying, and I feel like they can contain Kansas City, which I don't believe in.
A team I believe in, Oakland going to Denver. I want to pick them.
Wait, who do you believe in?
Oakland. But hold on. I want to pick them, but I think
you believe in them?
I think the coaching on the other side of the field is better. I like the way that things are going for Denver right now. Obviously, I'm picking Denver.
I can't believe that you just said that with a straight face. You still believe in Oakland. I'm going with Denver. There's no reason to believe in Oakland.
They've got. What did I tell you?
They've gotten better every week. You say they've gotten better. They've gotten better.
Last week, obviously, they didn't get better, but
right, and they've been losing.
I understand
Consistently lately.
But what I tell you before the season, they were going to be better than they have been in years past, and they are really not taking steps forward.
Congratulations.
Listen, all you can do is take steps forward. You can't. I mean, you have to start doing that. At some point, they weren't doing that for a long time.
He's a Philly fan. Don't mind him. That's what they all say.
Well, Dallas, did he catch that repeat in Lambeau?
You're a funny guy.
Or does Green Bay just blow him off the map?
They're not going to blow them off the map, but they're going to get a good victory. They will win decently.
I think they'll stretch it at some point. But Aaron Rodgers, these are the games, and this is the time after Thanksgiving. He needs to really put the pieces in place, and this is the kind of game that he can come out and make a sort of a statement because they're not playing really, the most talent because of the injury on the other side.
The only thing that he has to worry about is we have the 5th best yards allowed defense in the league. We allow the 5th fewest yards a game. That's the only thing he has to worry about. Offensively, I mean, McFadden, he had 2 fumbles the first time in his career in a year and a half or something like that. But outside of McFadden, offensively, because of our quarterback situation, you don't always have to worry about Dez. You might get 1 or 2 plays a game out of Dez with the quarterback situation. So, Green Bay, I think they'll win convincingly.
New England going to Houston, who was hot going into last week. I'm picking New England because this is the first time they lost back-to-back games since 2008.
Yeah,
that's a long time ago.
That's a long time.
When you're talking football.
Dude, you realize I was in high school when that happened?
I was also in high school when that happened.
It's weird.
Yeah, it's very weird. Houston, even though they're playing better, Bill O'Brien taking on Bill Belichick, protege taking on the old master. I agree. It's not even really going to probably be a matchup, especially how Matt Brady and the rest of that team is. I'm pretty sure Gronk is going to try to come back. I don't think he will, but I'm sure They're working. They're all working.
Regardless of who comes back and who doesn't, I just can't fathom a situation where New England loses 3 in a row.
Especially when they played late in that game against the Eagles. The only thing that scares me with this is the Eagles' defensive line, who isn't bad, but they were pretty much getting through New England's offensive line. J.J. Watt's on the other side.
Yeah.
That's scary.
That's always a threat regardless of
the situation. And Brady was going down a good amount of times for the first time in a long time, and it was against the Eagles. They're going to have to protect him a lot better, obviously, against J.J. Watt. He's got to get the ball a little quicker, but I know it's because his receivers aren't getting open, obviously, due to the injuries. I'm still picking New England.
As you should. I'm going with them as well.
Okay. I really, really, really feel like I'm going to regret this pick for Monday night. I'm going with the Giants to beat Miami.
Ooh.
Coughlin had everything. He lives in that space of you should have been fired last week. Like he lives
for
there.
Like the past 4 years.
Forever. No, before that, for the past 10 years. He lives there. He lives there.
Yeah.
But this is it. This year it's over. I think even if they win this game, it's over because I don't think they're going to win the division.
God, I hope so.
But the reason I think they're going to win this game is because the other side isn't playing any well. Miami just hasn't played all that well. They just fired the offensive coordinator 2 weeks ago. They got to get under their legs. They played a little better. I think Miami has the talent to beat them, and I'm rooting for Miami to win that game.
Well, I understand, and as you should.
I just think that Odell Beckham is a freak, and he becomes even more of a freak by week because he's figuring out defenders every single time he steps on a football field, and it's getting more evident every single time.
He's the only consistent positive I have to say about the Giants.
But what's the other X factor?
Right.
So I'm picking them, and that's horrible. Like that's horrible. I'm not saying that's a good reason that I'm picking the Giants, but that's basically why I'm picking the Giants.
I'm pretty much going by default here. I'm going with Miami just because of the inconsistencies with the Giants. Right. That's exactly what I was going with. They're the home team.
Vegas gives them 2 points because they're the home team.
Well, fair enough. I mean, I don't pay attention to Vegas, but from my perspective, I see a trash NFC East, and the Giants are definitely in the forefront of that trash. So, and I'm going with Miami. I don't trust the Giants whatsoever. I mean, from a fandom perspective, with this, I would hope that they win because I don't want to see the Eagles win.
You're for the Giants.
I don't want to see the Eagles win in the division. No. I'd rather see the Giants or the Redskins win, honestly, but I'm going with the Dolphins.
Well, that was JD Sports. Thank you for watching. I'm Jared Hood. That's Dwight Garfield. You can find our Twitters at the JD Sports Twitter, which is @_JD Sports. Everything else is in the links below on the YouTube page. Thank you for watching.
Peace out, Cali.